Hi, this is Brian Bennett, and I'm a pastor in Vero Beach, Florida, and it is my honor today to speak to you on behalf of Legacy-Minded Men. The topic I want to speak to you about is priority. And priority is something that when we begin to really understand our purpose in life and who we're following, then our priorities begin to fall into place. But if you're like me, you realize we're living in a world that is telling us what should be first. That all around us every day, we are consistently bombarded with messages about consumption and about self and a drive to make life about ourselves. This is part of how our American economy goes. It's part of what the culture has created. And yet in the middle of all of that, God says, I have a different way. That's the beauty of Jesus, right? He's not just a son of God and part of the Trinity that's off in the distance. He came and was one of us. The doctrine of the incarnation, fully God, fully man, Jesus demonstrated what life and living and leading was meant to be. So when we look to Jesus, one of the best places we can look is his teaching, right? And one of the greatest blocks of his teaching is in the Sermon on the Mount. In the Sermon on the Mount, he really defines what priorities look like, and it is countercultural. Think of it as almost like a revolution. I mean, there's a reason they killed him, because he was literally flipping the world upside down. It's actually in the book of Acts when followers of Jesus are accused of flipping their cities upside down, of doing things that seemed revolutionary. I hope you realize when we prioritize Jesus, we are prioritizing what I believe is the greatest movement and revolution in human history. That we're talking about a leader that today, 2,000 years after his life and death, has set in motion something that nobody else has ever seen. And it's in the Sermon on the Mount that we learn that in fact Jesus was not meant to be our co-pilot. Have you ever seen those bumper stickers? Like, to me, I'll just be honest, I'm not a big fan of like all of the Christian merch, okay? And if you're in that industry, I'm so sorry. But when we slap necklaces and t-shirts and bumper stickers into places that aren't necessarily living and representing Jesus and his priorities, I mean, think about it. You put a bumper sticker on a car that says, Jesus is my co-pilot, then you cut somebody off, you steal their parking spot, you begin to road rage, right? We've all been there. And we're like, is he really? Well, let me just dig into that a little deeper, because I actually think that Jesus was never meant to be our co-pilot. He's actually meant to be in the driver's seat. You and I are supposed to ride shotgun. We're supposed to be the wingman to what Jesus' agenda and priorities are. And how do we get there? Well, Matthew 6:33 and 34 says this. It's in the Sermon on the Mount. Incredible teaching. Jesus says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. It's when we dig into that idea of seek first that we realize that in the original language, the Greek language, it actually means first and foremost. And this was a game changer in my life. You see, I had grown up and been in environments where everything was, okay, God first, then I'm second. I truly believe that, okay? God's first, I'm second. But then when we go from God to then, okay, it's my marriage, then it's my kids, then it's my work, then it's my leisure life, what happens is who was supposed to be first has been left up here typically. You see, what Jesus was saying is on every step, every compartment, he's supposed to be first. So what does that mean? Jesus is first in our marriage. Jesus is first with my kids. Jesus is first in my work. Jesus is my priority in everything I do. So you may realize that you've been climbing the wrong ladder. You've had the wrong priorities. What do you do? How do you combat that? You just simply say, Jesus, I'm sorry. And I want you to be first and foremost in everything. You begin to say, Jesus, I want you to be first in every aspect of my life. And I'm a pretty simple guy, so for me, that's been a game changer in my priorities. Because I begin to look up in what I'm doing to say, God, is he first in this? Is he first with my money? Is he first in our approach to our budget? And is he first in my kids' education? Is he first in what I'm putting my hand to in my work today? Whatever that looks like for you, if you make him your first and foremost, your priorities will fall into alignment. And I believe, as he said, you won't have to worry or have anxiety, because he will add everything to your life and to mine that we were meant to have and meant to walk in. Make him your priority. Make him your first and foremost today.